Well, thank you for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. Let's get right to your headlines. It was a very emotional day in St. Paul as the city and its police force honor the life of former officer Felicia Riley. She passed away earlier this month, 15 years after being forced into retirement following an assault in the line of duty that left her with a traumatic brain injury. The show of support today was incredible, with some hundreds of officers from across the entire metro there to support Riley and her family. During the service, St. Paul Police Chief Axel Henry announced that Riley is posthumously receiving the Medal of Valor for her service with the department.
As a person that worked that day and works for this department, I, like our police department, has wondered over the last 15 years, and I've thought to myself as I sat here trying to think of what I could possibly say to encapsulate who this person was and what she did for our community. I thought about that struggle. I thought about a 15-year struggle. For those that have ever had to be in a fight, you know that a 90-second fight is an eternity. What about a 15-year fight? I thought to myself, I don't know that there's a word that can describe that.
Riley was laid to rest at Roselawn Cemetery in Roseville. Tune in to KARE 11 News at 4, 5, and 6. We will have much more on the funeral and Officer Riley's impact both on and off the force. Two big deadlines this week in our nation's capital as more tariffs are set to take effect on Wednesday. Also, Congress must pass a government funding bill by Friday or risk a government shutdown. A short-term funding bill will be brought forward tomorrow, but is already getting pushback from Republicans, and it will need the full support of the GOP and some Democrats. The tariffs on Wednesday will be 25% on all steel and aluminum imports coming into the U.S. President Trump says his sweeping tariff plans will bring back lost American factories and jobs in the long term.
Oh, I think the tariffs are going to be the greatest thing we've ever done as a country. It's going to make our country rich again. We have many companies, as you know, auto companies are opening up plants now. We've had 4 or 5 announced already, but many more are coming. And we're basically going to take back the money, a lot of the money that we've given away over many decades.
Meanwhile, American farmers are facing tariffs today on many products that they send to China. The measures include extra 15% duty on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton, and a 10% on items including beef and soybeans. As the trade war in the U.S. and Canada heats up, Canada's Liberal Party has elected a new leader, happened over the weekend, to replace Justin Trudeau as Prime Minister and to take charge of confronting those threats posed by President Donald Trump. NBC's Jay Gray has the details from Ottawa.
Well, look, the back and forth over tariffs and the trade war between the U.S. and Canada intensifying and sparking what is a sense of nationalism across this country right now. Protests at the U.S. Embassy, fans booing the American anthem at hockey games, shoppers boycotting American goods, American liquor and wine pulled from the shelves of government liquor stores, and vacations to the U.S. even canceled. This all unfolding as a new leader takes control of Canada's Liberal Party, members overwhelmingly endorsing banker Mark Carney, who will become the interim Prime Minister as Justin Trudeau steps aside. Carney urging Canadians to stay united.
I know that these are dark days. Dark days brought on by a country we can no longer trust. We are getting over the shock, but let us never forget the lessons. We have to look after ourselves.
Now, since he's not a member of Parliament right now, Carney is required to call a federal election. He'll be challenged by Conservative Pierre Poilievre, someone President Trump has said that he would have an easier time working with. That's the latest here in Ottawa. I'm Jay Gray. Now back to you.
New today, the U.S. Agency for International Development has been gutted. Secretary of State Marco Rubio released a statement on social media saying 83% of USAID will be canceled. The cuts come after a 6-week review, and Rubio said the programs that remain intact will be placed under the State Department. USAID has handed out billions of dollars worldwide every year to help combat poverty, fight diseases, and provide support to areas hit with natural disasters and, of course, famine. The Trump administration had repeatedly called for dismantling it, alleging that much of those funds have been misused. Well, for the residents of District 40B in Roseville and in Shoreview, the wait is nearly over on their House seat. Tomorrow, voters will head to the polls in an election that will decide the balance of power in the House. It comes after DFL candidate Curtis Johnson won the race, but a judge said that he couldn't be seated because he didn't live in the district. David Gottfried is the DFL-endorsed candidate facing off against Republican Paul Wickstrom. Both candidates have spent the past couple of months door-knocking daily. A win for Gottfried would bring the House back to a tie. And if elected, Wickstrom says his top priority will be making Minnesota more affordable for its residents.
Which from the DFL perspective gives us a really good position to defend some of the really good work that we have done over the years. Paid family medical leave is something that I'm particularly passionate about. I have family members who would have greatly benefited from that program being in place, and so I will fight tooth and nail to make sure that that gets rolled out in 2026.
We really have to, push forward some important changes, not just for fraud detection and prevention, but also to bring down the spending. And I think, if we identify the areas where the fraud is happening, we can redirect those dollars to those areas where the crucial services are needed.
Back in November, Democrat Johnson beat Republican Wickstrom by 30 percentage points. Early voting in person continues today at Ramsey County Plato Building, and then tomorrow on Tuesday is the special election day. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. Right now, the FAA is back on the scene investigating a small plane crash in Pennsylvania. The plane came down in the parking lot of a retirement community Sunday afternoon. The 5 people on board survived. They're all right now recovering in the hospital. Hard to believe when you're watching this terrifying video that just came into our newsroom. A witness says the plane crashed shortly after takeoff. Fire officials say the crash damaged about a dozen cars, but thankfully no one on the ground was hurt. The NTSB will be reviewing the FAA's findings. We're hearing from close friends of a Minnesota man killed in an avalanche in Alaska, along with 2 other men. Jeremy Life and 2 of his friends were skiing in the mountains near Girdwood Tuesday when authorities say an avalanche buried them in at least 40 feet of snow. Joe McCoy talked with friends of Jeremy's about the legacy that he leaves behind.
Being a dad, it was his pride and joy. He talked about his kids before he talked about anything else.
Those close to Jeremy Life knew how lucky they were to have him by their side.
Jeremy and I have been good friends since middle school.
I met him on his 21st birthday, which is pretty, if you know Jeremy, that was a good time.
2 of Jeremy's closest friends, John Fritz and Brandon Wiedemeyer, say the 38-year-old was a family man first and foremost. He leaves behind his wife Q and their 2 boys, Austin and Hudson.
Whenever we all got together, he was the one that's in the pool for hours, or the next day in the living room with the kids watching cartoons in the morning.
Jeremy and 2 friends were killed by an avalanche Tuesday while skiing in Girdwood, Alaska. It's estimated that avalanche buried the men under at least 40 feet of snow.
He did live life to the fullest.
Brandon says Jeremy taught him patience and to not take life so serious. The thing he will miss most
Have you heard that before?
is the 2 of them raising their kids together.
The aura that he had around him, kids were attracted to him. Dogs were attracted to him. And there's no better compliment to that of an individual when that happens.
Austin, I wish you were swimming with me, buddy.
Besides being with family or out on the water, Jeremy loved to be on the golf course.
Boy, he loved golf. And his favorite thing was he swung hard. And he swung as hard as he possibly could. It would go 300 yards dead straight, and it was a thing of beauty, or it would go 300 yards dead in the woods.
A husband, dad, and best friend who never lost the kid at heart.
It's going to be tough, explaining to our children the magnitude of what he has touched in our lives.
Switching gears now, we are entering our second full week of the KARE 11 Food Fight. We've partnered with the Salvation Army and Cub Foods to help families struggling with food insecurity with the KARE 11 Food Fight, and we are now raising both money and non-perishable food items, which you can drop off at dozens of sites around the metro. Team Bell still in the lead with more than $3,500. Combined with Team Julie and Team Reggie, all of you have helped us raise more than $6,300 so far. Now, if you'd like to help, you can just scan the QR code that you see there on your screen or simply visit kare11.com/give11. There, you can pick a team and learn how to donate. The KARE 11 Food Fight runs through March 26. Well, stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.